But drag is pain. Beauty is pain.
Welcome to Trash Pop Digital Universe, where you can be anybody in the world. You can live your life here on the internet. Be who you are, share a pic, baby, now you're set.
Hi everyone, this is Priscilla Cybin. Thank you so much for clicking. I'm Priscilla, one half of Trash Pop. We are a drag queen pop band who does cute little videos here on youtube.com. Today I am going to show you how to do your eyebrows. If you're a drag queen, you know that gluing down your eyebrows is essential to getting that very dramatic makeup look, but it is a challenge for a lot of new queens to get that eyebrow cover correct. And if you don't have that eyebrow cover correct, then you're going to look pasty, your eyebrows are going to stick through your makeup. It's just not going to look right, and it's really going to ruin the illusion that you're going for. So I have spent a lot of time gluing down my eyebrows and covering them, and I think I have come up with a technique that has taken, bits and pieces from other makeup artists who cover their eyebrows. And I think I can give you a really easy how-to guide so that if this is even your first time gluing your eyebrows, or if you are, you've done it a few times but you haven't perfected it, I think you'll find something useful in this video with a technique that I'm going to show you. And I'm gonna go into detail here. I've mentioned how to cover your eyebrows in my other makeup tutorials before, but I haven't really shown you how to do it in extreme detail. And today, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you every step of the process. The first step being taking a tweezer and getting rid of any long hairs or just hairs that don't go with the natural shape of your eyebrow. If you're cute, you probably keep your eyebrows well manicured and you don't have to worry about this step. But I have never really cared too much about how my eyebrows look when I'm out of drag, so mine are a little unkempt in places. And so before starting drag, I will go in with a tweezer and get rid of what I call my old man brows. I have a few really long strands of eyebrow hair up here that just kind of grow in longer than the rest. Whatever. Because you'll see with those longer brow hairs when you're trying to glue them down that they kind of stand out and they can also ruin the illusion. So we're going to go in with the tweezer and just find those long hairs and pull them out. Now I did drag last week for videos, so I actually don't have too many of these long hairs today. They're kind of more well kept. But if it's been a while since I've done drag and I haven't been taking care of my eyebrows, then I'll have to spend 5 minutes doing that. The next step is to get some rubbing alcohol and either a cotton pad or a Q-tip, whatever works for you. And this step is really important for getting rid of any of your natural oils or dirt. You should always wash your face before doing drag, I think, but even after then, you might not kind of strip the oils, and you really shouldn't strip oils from your skin, it's unhealthy. But when trying to glue down a good brow, you need to strip those oils down so the glue can actually adhere to your skin better. And this is a #1 tip that I have found that took my brows to the next level. So just a little rubbing alcohol and we're gonna clean the brow area. You don't have to go too far. I like to do a little above and a little below, as well as cleaning the brows. And this is really gonna help when it comes to gluing down those brows. So we're just gonna clean that side, making sure to get all in there. And then with the other side of the Q-tip, I'm gonna do the other brow. So those are feeling much better now, and just give that a second to dry. Usually doesn't take long. Rubbing alcohol evaporates really quickly. And you don't want to touch them because you'll get your finger oils on your brows. But once they, feel dry, we're ready to move to the next step, which is, of course, the glue. You're gonna need 2 things to do this. The Elmer's Disappearing Purple Glue, the best one in my opinion, and a little brow spoolie. Now, I just keep an old spoolie, and once it starts to get too much gunk on it from the glue, I just clean that off with rubbing alcohol and then a little hot water and soap, and it looks fresh again. You'll want to keep that clean, obviously, because as glue dries in it, it starts to get kind of gross. Sometimes what I'll do is kind of just run the spoolie through the eyebrow really quick, loosen any eyebrow hairs that are like gonna fall off or whatever, and just kind of comb them a little bit. Then we're gonna take our glue and we're gonna apply the first layer directly on the brow. Try to stick to just doing the brow. Don't really put the glue around the skin. If you can keep it to just the brow, that is kind of the trick here. And a big important tip I have, especially if you have like thicker brows, is to make sure you're getting glue beneath the hairs. And to do that, you kind of want to go in a back and forth motion to really get that glue on there. And don't be afraid to use a lot. This technique of gluing down your eyebrows, it takes a lot of glue. So once you have that glue on there, give it like a couple seconds to dry just a bit, not all the way, but like you kind of want to get it tacky. Then you're going to take that spoolie and you're going to brush the hairs up and out against the skin, up and out. Making sure to get the glue in all the hairs and laying that hair flat against the skin. And the same on the other side, up and out. If you have sensitive skin, this does hurt a little bit sometimes because the spoolie hairs can be kind of painful. But drag is pain, beauty is pain. And this is where I like notice, we have a couple stray hairs. Good thing we have the tweezers. We can get rid of those so they don't ruin our illusion. And now you're gonna kind of let that dry a little bit. You'll have some hairs start poking up. They're not all gonna want to dry down at once, but once it starts to feel a little tacky, again, like you pat your finger on and you feel just a little bit of glue coming up, you go in with the spoolie once more and you do the same thing and just rub that flat onto the skin. And try to flatten those hairs as much as possible. Depending on how your eyebrows grow, you might have to do more sideways motions. Maybe for your eyebrows, you go straight up. It just depends. I used to do straight up, but I found that my eyebrow hairs didn't like to stay that way. So now I kind of do this to the side motion. And I find that the side motion for me works really well. But it's gonna depend on your eyebrows, your thickness, where you have hair, and your spoolie technique as well. As you get more comfortable with laying the hair flat, you are going to do a better job covering your eyebrows. Now, you wait for the first layer to dry. If you're impatient or you're in a hurry, you can use a hair dryer to dry down the hair really quickly and move on with your life. But I am someone who likes to take my time getting in drag. If I'm not making a video, I usually play music in the background, and I really like to sink into the process. Putting on makeup is kind of a ritual thing for me, and I really just enjoy relishing the moment and seeing the transformation happen. So I'm not in a hurry most of the time to get my eyebrows dry, but if you're someone who just doesn't have time to chill and wait for the glue to dry, I totally understand. Use a hair dryer to make that happen faster. A good way to test and see if that has dried is either to touch it with your finger or just go in with your spoolie, and if that spoolie is not really catching any hairs, then you know you've kind of done the job correctly. Now, how many layers does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? In this case, the Tootsie Pop being my eyebrow. That really depends on the day. It depends on your eyebrow. I can sometimes get by just doing 2 layers of glue. Sometimes I have to do 3 or 4, but you'll know when it's ready because the brows, like the hairs, will look glued down and it'll look flat. So we're gonna do a second layer, and judging by how this is looking right now, I'm not seeing a lot of hair sticking out. So I'm thinking that the second layer, or maybe a third, is gonna be all I need today. Now, important tip, this time around, you don't wanna go back and forth. If you start going back, you're gonna pick up those brow hairs and ruin the flat shape that you created. So this time around, you only want to follow the way that you've glued down the brow. So in that case, on this brow, it's gonna be pushing it this way and out and just following that shape that we created. And then same thing on this side, just following the shape that we've created. This second layer is where you can get a little more sloppy. It's okay if it doesn't follow the hair perfectly. And a nice thick layer is gonna be what you want. Once again, let that dry. Once the purple starts to disappear and it starts to get tacky, that's when we'll take the spoolie and lightly go through to push down any hairs that might have popped up. You don't really want to go in now with the spoolie really hard because you're going to start digging up that first layer of glue. And if you start digging up the glue, you're going to make it look oatmeal-y. It's going to look really textured. So this time around with the spoolie, we're just doing a light motion. And it's not as painful as that first time. Let these dry, imbibe with a beverage. And now that we're starting to lose a little bit of that purple color and the glue is feeling tacky, I'm just going to make sure that my brows are all glued down and it's feeling really good on that side. This side, a little bit of texture, but like I said, lightly, we will glue that down and get rid of any texture that might have formed. Now, occasionally when you're doing your brows, you might get this. It's a bit of glue that's kind of gone up and clumped up. And to get rid of that, you just need a little bit of rubbing alcohol, or even a makeup wipe will usually do the trick. And very carefully, you don't want to take off the glue on the brow. You just want to take that Q-tip and rubbing alcohol and just clean up that area where there's extra glue. As that last layer is drying, you'll decide if you need another layer of glue. I feel like, given the way this is drying, that second layer was all that I need. It's okay to go in with a final layer if you think that you need it. It's up to you. I'm feeling like it's probably good, which means that we're gonna move on to powdering this. And I like to powder just as that glue is starting to harden and still has a little bit of tackiness left. And how I powder is to use like a skin toned powder, not something translucent. So I'm using this Juvia's Place powder here. It has just a little bit of pigment to it, which I find works really well. And now you want to take a beauty blender that's dry, not damp, or a powder puff, and we're going to press that powder into the glue. The first layer you want to be gentle and apply liberally, because if you just go in and you pull up, the glue is going to stick to the beauty blender and it's going to pull up those hairs. So you want a lot of powder in a very quick motion. Cover the brow with the powder, and that will get rid of any residual tackiness. So same thing on this side, quickly cover, and that gets rid of the tackiness. Now you can go in and not worry about the glue pulling up and ruining the work that you've done. The reason why I like a powder that has a little bit of pigment to it is because it helps to hide the color of my brow. If you have very light eyebrows, this might not be a big deal to you, but I already want to start getting some coverage on that brow to hide the color. Now, with more powder, we're gonna go in and press into that eyebrow. I find that press as hard as you can take it, because the more you press, the more that glue is gonna push down and blend with your skin seamlessly. So I like to really get in there and press that powder into the glue. Once you have that powder on, give it a second just to set, and then take a large makeup brush and wipe away that powder. And you're left with powdered, glued down eyebrows, and you'll still see a little bit of color. At this point, we have two options. If you have very, very dark colored eyebrows, you might want to use an orange cream color corrector at this point. That cream color corrector is just gonna go on the brow and it's gonna help get rid of those blue tones that you're seeing come through. I don't usually do this. I don't find that it's necessary for my colored brows. But if you want to try that, it's a good technique and it will definitely help. I just use this Juvia's Place concealer and I go straight in with the concealer and I find that it's enough to cover what I need to cover. We're gonna go in with the concealer. We're not going to be shy about this. We're gonna use a lot of concealer and just place that directly over the eyebrow that we want to cover. There we go. And now with a damp beauty blender, we're gonna go ahead and pinch to a fine point and just blend that out, keeping most of the product on the brow. And as you can see, this concealer is really full coverage, so you're not seeing too much of that blue tone come through. And if you've glued down correctly, you've spoolied correctly, at this stage you should not be seeing too much texture. It's okay if there's a little bit, it's normal. We'll work on that as we do the rest of the look. But then just blend out those edges a little bit into the skin. And the final step is going to be taking a translucent powder. At this time, I do use translucent. You could use a shade that has a little more pigment, but I don't like to do that. It kind of gives you some discoloration in your eyebrow area when you add your foundation later. And just set that concealer. Once again, take your large makeup brush and just dust away any excess powder that's landed. And there you have it. Your eyebrows are covered and ready for foundation. Obviously, if you're not going to use color corrector, a full coverage foundation is best at this point. So I'm going to take my wig cap, pull back my hair, and this is where I would go ahead and start with that foundation. I really like this Juvia's Place right now. It's doing wonders for my skin, and it does wonders for that eyebrow cover. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like once you applied foundation, and that will be the end of this video. We're going to take that full coverage foundation, put it directly on the eyebrows, and start buffing that into the skin and the surrounding area. And there you have it. Your foundation has covered those brows. Now you are ready to draw on a new eyebrow. You're ready to draw on your eyeshadow over those brows. And that's how you do a full covered eyebrow look. Now, keep watching. I'm gonna show you how I go from this, just a couple finishing touches. Oh hey, didn't notice you there. Thank you so much for watching the whole eyebrow tutorial. As you can see, this is what the finished look looks like. Can barely even tell there's a boy brow underneath this beautiful drag glamour. If you like watching my makeup tips and you'd like to hear more from me, if you want to see more in depth about how to do drag makeup, comment down below and let me know. What kind of tutorial would you want to see next? What kind of makeup do you want to learn how to do from Priscilla Cybin? Because I am always happy to teach you. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe, and remember that trash pop is going to make the world pop. Bye!